Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about split closings and how do they impact you. So I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I do not have all of the information about the new insurance board's ruling about split closings and what that means, but I'm going to bring you the information I have currently. We have reached out to several settlement companies and closing attorneys to get their opinion on what this means and how it will change how we do business. So what I have learned so far is that in the state of Virginia, it is buyer's choice. That's why it's on the contract on our purchase agreement, and the buyer gets to choose the closing attorney or settlement company that they wish to use. A split closing occurs when the seller and the buyer are using different closing or settlement companies. Now, for years and years and years, you've heard me and lots of other brokers tell you that what the Virginia law is that everyone has their own choice of settlement agent. No one can make you close somewhere you don't want to close. Well, I am coming to realize this month that that is apparently a little off from the actual truth, which is the buyer gets to select and no one can tell the buyer where to close. So once the buyer makes their choice, the seller, unfortunately, is being told they have to close there too. This is where I feel uncomfortable even saying that, because I've been saying for 15 years that everyone gets to choose their own. And how in the world can I tell the seller they have to close somewhere? And I got a call yesterday from a very distraught agent of ours who is selling a home through our agent as the listing agent. And they are just realizing that the buyer chose a closing office in Radford, Virginia. So my agent's calling me saying, my folks are not going to drive to Radford to 45 minutes away to close on their home. I very quickly said, I honestly don't know if they can use another settlement company or not. However, I think a quick workaround would be to call that Radford settlement company and say, what resources do you have available to my seller? Where is a place in town in Roanoke where you can send a notary to conduct our side of the closing? And so she liked that idea. She's going to call the settlement company today and find out if they can send a traveling notary to do the seller side of the settlement. And I offered our office, told her she was welcome to have the notary come here and conduct the closing here. I am still waiting to hear what all of the settlement companies are finally saying. I'm seriously waiting to hear what the Virginia Association of Realtors is going to say about this, and the Virginia Bar Association. You know, how I can tell you the settlement attorneys are working on it, the real estate attorneys, the settlement companies are looking for advice. So we're just trying to figure out how to best move forward. I had a house go under contract, one of my listings, over the weekend. And so I was sending my documents to the settlement company I enjoy using, and with the question, or really it was more of a statement that said, please tell me you can close this for me, even though the buyer has chosen a different settlement company. And unfortunately, I got a reply back from my favorite settlement company saying, oh, I'm so sorry, we can't do it. Your seller's going to have to close with XYZ company that the buyer chose. I wrote back, boo, with about 9 exclamation points. And she said, I agree. So it is what it is right now until we get other guidance, buyer's choice, and then the seller closes at that settlement company to avoid a split closing or a split settlement. Until either the insurance board changes their mind or changes their ruling or changes their regulation, or until the Virginia Bar Association or the insurance board changes their ruling. So that is where we are. So it's buyer's choice. And then sellers are going to have to close wherever the buyer has chosen. I'm going to let you guys ask some questions or complain. Believe me, I want to complain too. And I can tell you my settlement company who had to turn away my business felt terrible. And obviously are very disappointed that's a transaction they won't be closing for me.
Maybe I missed it, but what was the reasoning in this thought?
So it has come down as a new regulation from the Virginia Insurance Board. So what they've done is the Virginia Insurance Board has said if there are split closings or split settlements where sellers and buyers are being represented by two separate closing attorneys or two separate settlement offices, then that is no longer allowed. That it is buyer's choice, and then the seller has to close where the buyer has chosen. That goes against everything we've had as our working knowledge as to how this works. And so we're just having to abide by that new regulation until either the Virginia Bar Association or the insurance board give us a different workaround, or they change the new regulation. They have not given any reasoning as to why this has happened. And it was sprung on everyone at exactly the same time. No one had a heads up. When I reached out to my favorite settlement company, they immediately replied back, we just heard about it this morning too. So there was no heads up to anyone. So everyone is kind of caught unawares and trying to figure out what it means and how you function under this new regulation. Anybody have any other questions?
I'll just say I don't really like that.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
And you can understand settlement companies immediately are either going to get more business one direction or lose a lot of business the other direction. I mean, they're all scrambling too to try to figure out how to, I mean, perhaps they have a very loyal realtor client who specializes in listings. They're going to completely lose that client now. They'll just be gone. So it's disheartening. It really is. Hopefully it'll all get figured out. I'm about tired of new regulations being announced and you have 4 days to comply, you know. The Virginia Real Estate Board had just put in a new advertising regulation, and fortunately we got it delayed. So those are your RPAC dollars at work. They managed to get it delayed. It was going to be that in addition to attribution always having to be given on websites for the listings that are being advertised, meaning it's got to have, even Zillow has to follow this rule. It's got to have the listing firm and the listing firm name, right? Well, they had very quickly added that it also needs to have a point of contact phone number, and that has to be in the MLS, and it was going to go into effect like in a month. Well, that's like recoding the MLS. That is firms having to decide, like, well, whose number is it going to be? Is it going to be the firm phone number? Is it going to be the listing agent's phone number? Is that going to be a field in the MLS input sheet? So now we got to have zip forms, redo the forms. Like all the MLSs just sort of said, whoa, hold on. Like you cannot make changes that fast. It just literally can't move at that speed. Maybe a great idea, but it just cannot be, it can't be enacted upon that quickly. So that kind of stuff just kind of keeps happening. You know, we'll, I don't know if things are happening in a vacuum now where everybody's on Zoom and only half paying attention in the meetings. I don't know what's happening, but some of that stuff is happening now, and we'll just keep trying to interpret it. Anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Do you think it's gonna change? I mean, this is a hypothetical, but do you think that it would make a difference in which, like the offers that a seller would take, depending on who you're choosing to close with?
Well, I do not even have guidance on whether we're allowed to counter offer that as a seller or not. If the law is the buyer has the buyer's choice, I don't know.
But I mean, but if you know of one,
oh yeah,
or just saying, and that is the difference. Just the same way as we have a, you know, the seller would have a choice in type of financing, or even I've had one tell me that it's been some years, but they didn't like the particular lender that we had, and they wanted us to try to be pre-qualified through another lender. So, you know, like, I'm just wondering if this is.
Alicia, that is an excellent point. What I'll point out is settlement company choice is not a protected class. So there's no reason why your seller couldn't say, I don't like that settlement company. I'm not taking your offer. I don't know that they can say switch closing companies, but I think they could turn down the offer for that reason. Now that seems a silly reason to turn down an offer. However, and this is again where I'm coming to y'all very transparent that I don't even have all the answers yet. Like
Right.
the Virginia Association of Realtors has not even made an interpretation yet or helped given us a play-by-play as to how this is going to work in the field. So we're still waiting on that as well. And I can assure you that that RVAR, it is on their radar, but we're obviously waiting for VAR to give us guidance. You know, that's where all the staff attorneys are. You know, VAR has staff attorneys who are working on this, I feel sure. And hopefully we'll have some guidance here before long. We're just in a moment of wild, wild west for a little bit, which is, y'all know, my least favorite way to operate. So,
And Alicia, that was my exact argument to Ashley when we were talking about all of this, is I think it is going to, because just like home inspectors or different vendors in the area, you recommend who has done a good job for you. And unfortunately, there are some that have not done a good job for you. And I feel like if you get one of those that come across, you have to share that information or you're not doing your client justice. So,
And they're doing both sides now. So, I mean, if you had a bad experience with them and you only had them on one side, now it's like, you want me to trust you to do both sides.
right.
Yep.
I agree.
and Chris Coher has commented a very true, articulated exactly what we're all thinking. People who are making these decisions have behind the desk syndrome. They are not in the field. They are not understanding how a seller may not want to close in the same place as the buyer. We have long recommended that our buyers and sellers will choose separate companies in case there's a conflict of interest, in case there's an encroachment issue, in case they get into a giant fight. At least you don't have conflicts of interest there. So this flies in the face of what the advice we've been giving for years and years and years. So we will just see how it all works out. Okay, let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, we're going to move on to our next topic. I'll just give it another second. I'm very appreciative you're all here this morning. Okay, so we're going to move on to, do you need an LLC? So several agents at the firm have an LLC. The purpose of having an LLC when you're a real estate agent is a little more complicated, because you would not only need an LLC, you would also need a business entity license through DPOR. So the purpose would be, so Ashley is a real estate agent, or I'll use Jennifer. Jennifer's a real estate agent. Jennifer makes commission. So all of that commission is taxed as a 1099. So if Jennifer were to set up an LLC called Jennifer Wilcox LLC or Jennifer Sells LLC, then she would set up an LLC with the state corporation commission, which costs about $100. Then she would apply through the IRS for an employer identification number. I have a cheat sheet here, but I also have done this, so I should know the steps. Then she'll apply for an EIN number, an employer identification number, through the IRS. So now she has a state corporation commission number and her articles of organization. She has her, and interestingly, when you go to the state corporation commission and you file for your LLC, there's a name search generator, so you can see if your name is available. You can workshop a few names. And then once you go through the steps of setting up the LLC, it will go ahead and give you immediately your articles of organization. So then you can go get your IRS EIN number, and then you can go open a bank account. So the EIN number is issued by the IRS. You take the EIN number and the LLC name and your articles of organization, and then you fill out a form with DPOR called a business entity license. So when you fill out the business entity license application and you send it into DPOR, on that form, it lists what salespeople are allowed to be paid by that LLC. So if you want to set up a team with someone else, or you and your partner are going to be a loosely structured team, then the LLC has to list both of you as people who the LLC can pay. Okay. So and it has to be licensees on there. It's going to ask for the licensee number. So then you end up getting a second real estate license. So now Jennifer has Jennifer Wilcox, the salesperson, or in her case, the associate broker. And then she also has a real estate license that is a business entity, and that is for Jennifer Sells LLC. Now, me as your broker, I can only pay licensees. So now I have a choice. I can pay Jennifer Wilcox, the associate broker, or I can pay Jennifer Sells LLC. Everything I pay to Jennifer Wilcox goes as a straight 1099. She accepts that income as a 1099 income and has to pay income tax based on it. All the money I pay to Jennifer Sells LLC could be, and most likely is, all of the commissions she generates that year. They all go into the LLC, and then the LLC decides how to pay Jennifer. Some of that may be 1099 income. Some of that may be salary. Perhaps she's going to be a salaried employee to her LLC, and she's going to pay payroll taxes on her behalf, Social Security, FICA, all that. And some of it may be distributions as being the single owner of her LLC. Distribution payments to Jennifer are taxed at a different, more favorable rate than just a straight 1099 income. So now by having that LLC, it gives her the freedom to decide how she wants to receive her pay, her commissions. Does she want to receive it all as straight 1099 commission? Or does she want to receive part of it as a salary, part of it as a commission income, and part of it as a distribution as being the business owner? So all of those are going to be subject to different tax rates, and that is going to allow her some flexibility as she is deciding how she wants to file her taxes. All of this should be done through your accountant to figure out what's going to be the most desirable outcome for you. And we have many, many agents who have LLCs. It's going to cost you $100 at the State Corporation Commission. I don't remember paying anything to the IRS. And it's going to cost you $210 to DPOR for your business entity license application. So for $310, you're set up, you're in business. That's why I say there is some cost involved. So until you're selling about $25,000 or $30,000 a year, or generating about $25,000 to $30,000 in income a year based on commissions, it probably is going to be a net zero for you to have that, because there are costs involved in setting it up and maintaining it. Every 2 years, your business entity license is also going to have a renewal fee, just like your regular salesperson license. So you're going to expect every 2 years to pay your business entity license renewal fee and your regular salesperson or associate broker license fee. Anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to talk about their LLC and how effective it's been for them?
I'll say something.
Please.
I think from a non-real estate, I can't even talk this morning. I think from a non-real estate position, as far as like a virtual assistant goes, an LLC has been very beneficial to me because I'm not having to do anything extra as far as paying taxes. So it's merged in with my family's taxes. So that's definitely a plus for me. And that's been beneficial for me and my family. So
great. LLCs can be set up for all sorts of things. And a simple LLC, which is just one person setting up an LLC, is easy breezy to set up. And there are lots of little tutorials and things online to step-by-step teach you how to do it.
yeah.
Jennifer, you have something to add?
So this week we've had a few come through the office that are requesting. One was set up through an accountant. So I know that you can do this yourself. Or you can use your accountant or a lawyer to set it up. So I was kind of the process of getting all of that done, like what all is involved in that. And you just did this yourself too, didn't you, Ashley? For the
I did. I bought an investment. Do y'all keep hearing that little bleepy noise?
I don't know what it is.
Something on my computer. Jennifer, you want to come in and fiddle?
It has to be you.
It's me. It's me. I don't know what it is, but it's trying to connect and reconnect over and over again. So sorry, y'all. So I just bought an investment property and decided to set up, it's something hooked up. So It wants attention. I'm so sorry, y'all.
We're just gonna.
I don't know. I mean, maybe the only thing it could be, Donna, take over.
Gosh. The camera here, make your window.
I know nothing about what they're talking about, so you know.
Look at the bottom and see if there's something down there. Okay.
Donna, your hair looks pretty this morning, honey.
Good job,
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You always look so good.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I didn't realize how easy it is to set up an LLC. When I started my business, I had absolutely no idea. But I knew that I had to set up an LLC. But I absolutely had no idea how to do it. And through the powers that be, I just went in there and I did what I needed to do and eventually learned that I did it all correctly.
Well, I've sort of seen the forms that came in through the past couple of weeks. I mean, the past couple of days, and you know, we had one in here yesterday, and I was just looking from afar. But I mean, it's sort of basic to what you need to do, but it's, you know, I think it's just finding the particular information, but you know, it seems fairly straightforward.
So Donna, I wasn't laughing at you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I was laughing at
Hey.
Ashley.
I'm laughing at myself.
Y'all know I pride myself on being very technologically savvy, and now my computer is making
There's no pop-ups. Like, we cannot figure this out.
I have nothing plugged in that shouldn't be plugged in, nothing new plugged in. Okay,
As
y'all
soon
are
as I
just,
walk out.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question.
yes, please.
Have you taken me off of co-owner or?
Is it you, Jess? Are you making the noise?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
No,
Okay.
you're not.
Well, if everyone can just ignore it, we're gonna get through the last couple of topics.
So sorry, guys.
I'm so sorry, y'all. Y'all, this is how we bond.
I was fine until it was mentioned, and then I'm done for now.
I
So
was not. I heard every.
We'll just start
word.
dancing in the background every time it makes a noise.
Right. I won't say everybody should take a shot every time that just kidding. Okay. I knew that was for you, Anastasia.
Hilarious.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is, what was I just getting? Oh, yes. I bought a little investment property, and y'all, I'm going to turn my speaker all the way down. Can y'all still hear me? I will not
Yes.
be able to hear y'all, but hopefully y'all will not hear the beeping anymore. Okay. So when I bought a little investment property, I set up an LLC. Jess is correct. It was so easy. The last time I had done anything like that was when we did a corporation 20 years ago, and we had to have an attorney. It was a headache. So this was so easy. It literally took me half an hour on just even figuring it out. So it was very, very easy. Unlike a corporation, like I'm a corporation for the firm, I have to do minutes every year. I have to have a board of directors meeting every year. There is none of that with a single owner LLC. It is very simple, very easy to use, very easy to set up. So for this investment property, I just wanted an extra little layer of insulation between me and the rest of my assets in this rental property. So I very quickly and easily set up an LLC. I was able to do a name search and pay the $100 and then go straight to the IRS site and get an EIN issued. So I was very surprised how easy it was. I do not think it's something that you would need to hire an attorney for or a CPA to do for you. And Miki shared with me this week that when she kept trying to get quotes for somebody to do it for her, it just kept coming back that it was going to be like $350 for somebody to do it for her. So she did it herself as well and did not find it difficult. So I encourage you to just, take a look at whether you think that might benefit your business. And again, we have to have that business entity license issued before we can pay your LLC. So it is not as simple as just having your LLC set up. I can only pay licensees. So it's got to go to DPOR as an application so that I can pay the LLC. Okay. If there
And
are no
keep
more
in
questions,
mind the processing time for that. So if you guys are going to run out and start this so that you can have your commissions paid this year to your LLC, keep in mind that DPOR processing, that would be a new license, 30 to 45 days, man. Transfers are quick, but the new licenses are taking a little longer still.
okay. I can't hear anything, so I'm going to assume that was useful information and I'm going to move on because I cannot hear anyone. Okay, moving on to client events. Good thing I can just talk in a vacuum. Y'all know I can. So client events, I just want to give you a little bit of what I'm seeing. I am seeing a rise in popularity of client events. And it is where you rent out the skate center, or you rent out the paintball range, or you invite everybody out to a brewery and pass out drink tickets and have them listen to a band play, have a picnic in the park. And it's just a once a year event where you invite all of your past clients. And what I wanted to help you brainstorm on is that seems overwhelming and expensive. So why don't you consider joining forces with another couple of agents? And if the four of you want to hold an event like that once a year, where you rent out Katie's ice cream for 2 hours on a Thursday night, you just pay for the scoops that are bought, and maybe you have a lender join you and share in the cost. I mean, there are all sorts of things you could do to make it more affordable. And you just host an event once a year with a couple of other realtor buddies. You're not going to obviously poach each other's past clients, obviously. You're going to have some sort of working understanding that you're all just pooling your resources there to invite a larger group out to benefit from the rental you're all sharing the cost of. But there are all sorts of family-friendly, people-friendly ideas. You know, you could, if the kite festival is happening, you could buy 30 tickets to the kite festival and just send them to your past clients and invite them to come out to the kite festival that day. And then you can have yourself a little pop-up tent set up and just welcome them and say hi and tell them thanks for coming out. You could order some inexpensive kites and have them sitting, to give out to your clients when they come by, and you can just enjoy the day. There are all sorts of things you can do that are low cost, but what I would recommend is you just pick a month, and that is the month you always do it. So summer months are great because then the options really open up, especially the more affordable options like festivals that are already happening, outdoor spaces that are readily available and very inexpensive. It's just, you certainly run into people's vacation times, but it opens up the options of what you can, the types of facilities you can use. You could buy everybody tickets to a fishing rodeo. There are all sorts of things you can do that would encourage families to come out, past clients to come out, people to come out and just hang out with you, and it doesn't have to be some extraordinary affair. Renting out Katie's ice cream for 2 hours on a Thursday night is not a huge time commitment or money commitment. You're just buying everybody an ice cream cone. If you want to have an ice cream truck come to the park, you can have a potluck park event and you can pay to have the ice cream truck come by. There are ways to do it that can be very affordable, but start to let you have sort of a client appreciation party once a year. And it really is effective. And you certainly can invite them to bring friends if they wish, because obviously then those are going to be future clients to you. Has anybody done anything like that? Does anybody have any ideas that I've not mentioned?
No, but Bill Metter, my insurance,
Alicia,
my insurance agent
had something to say.
Yeah, my insurance agent, Bill Metter, had a nice little wine tasting last night. It looks like he invited 210 people. And when we got there, maybe 10 people were there. So it's a small percentage, but it was nice to see other agents in person and that sort of thing. But, the stupid COVID thing, that's what concerns me most. And I said, honey, I didn't even think about it till we were on the way. Should we even be doing this? So I don't know. It's tricky.
It is. It is. I watch or follow a couple realtors out of state that do these types of events. And there's some really creative things to do. And then of course, even if it's a little bit more on the expensive side, because I mean, it's all over the board on how extravagant that they do, but it's also a tax write-off. So that's a deduction for you there as well. So you can use that as advertising or what have you. I'm not sure which one it falls under, but that's what they say. They do a big end of the year party because they can use that expense as a deduction. Are you back up, Miss Ashley? Can you hear us? She can't hear us. I know, we're gonna have to figure this out before the next one. Anybody else have anything to add?
I wanted to add something about the LLC, if I could go back to that.
Perfect, go for it.
You know, I would
Okay,
never
am I ready
attempt.
to do my last topic? I'm
Hang
still
on,
in a-
Anastasia's adding something about the LLC.
I would never attempt
Say
to
that
give
again?
legal advice.
I'm still in a bucket trying to teach in here where I can't hear anything.
Anastasia's gonna share something about LLCs. So I'll give you a heads up when it's ready.
All right.
We're
Give me a
just doing
thumbs up if I
shots
can
over
move
here,
on
you know.
to the end of my class. Okay. I have a feeling this one's not going to see the light of day, and this one will not be on YouTube.
Anastasia wants to share about LLC.
Please do, Anastasia.
We're just doing
I'm
shots
losing
over
my
here
mind
while
over
you're
here.
working it out.
Please go ahead, Anastasia.
So I would never attempt to, you know, give legal advice or accounting advice. But when I formed my LLC a few years ago, the attorney, who was not an accountant, okay, said that I could do a cool thing like the LLC owns my car and rents the car to me as an individual. So you can write that expense off. And that's all I'll say about that. But you can think about that and talk to your accountant about that. But I thought, man, that's a cool way to not have to claim those dollars as taxable dollars. But, you know, then there's the thing about Social Security. We all need to have that fund when we're older and claim enough to make enough Social Security to live on. So, you know, it's tricky whether or not to claim all your expenses or not. And if you're an investor like I am, you know, you need to show income or else you won't qualify for the loan. So it's tricky.
100% agree. That's a neat spin though on that, as far as the car is concerned.
Oh my gosh, y'all. I fixed my life. I'm so sorry, y'all. Especially to like Chris Coer, who's never been on one of these before, or Jeremy, who's never been on one of these before. I swear I usually know what I'm doing. But it's all
Can you
fixed.
hear us?
I can
Can
hear
you hear
y'all.
us?
I can hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Uh-huh.
What was it?
Yes.
It was the power outlet for the speaker. I don't know if a ghost came in here over the night and fiddled with it, but it was the power supply. It was plugged halfway in. Well, it got the attention it deserved. I figured out what was wrong. Okay. Last thing, we have 2 goal setting workshops next week. If you'd like to attend, please do. We had 2 yesterday. We shared lots of free or low cost resources. Everybody was collaboratively sharing what works for them, what technology has been helpful, what technology has been a waste of time. I really do see people backing off of being on 5 social media platforms. It's too much, and they're focusing on 2. They're focusing on 1, and they're concerting more effort to be consistent and more reliable on 1 or 2 platforms rather than trying to be everywhere. And I don't know that cross-pollinating across all platforms, it looks to me, I'm seeing people talk about how that looks a little too regimented. It looks a little too more much like you're trying to follow an algorithm when they just want to see you being authentic, living your life and letting them have a glimpse into it. So if you can, come to one of our goal setting workshop sessions next week. We have 2 sessions coming up. And Anastasia, do you have a question? Yes, please.
Okay, we thought it was this morning, so we screwed up. Is there a way to go somewhere and look at it?
So, yes, I have the one from last year up, which I use the same materials. My teaching will be, because honestly, I told them this yesterday. Every year I look at the new goal setting, like, workshop manuals and worksheets that are available. And I have found 2 that I love. And I think they're very holistic. They hit at like personal well-being as well as business well-being. And so I used them last year and I used them again this year, not because I didn't go look for something new and fresh. I didn't find anything I liked better. So we actually have a YouTube video from one of those sessions last year on the YouTube channel. So you can go watch that. And the emails that I sent out this week with the Zoom links to the goal setting workshops for this week also have the materials attached to that email. So you can get them there as well. And then I'll be sending you, let me see when the sessions are next week. Let me take a look. So if you can attend one of the sessions next week, it's great. If not, you can watch the YouTube video. Let me see when they are happening next week, and I can go ahead and let you know right now.
I will say each one's just a little bit different because everybody talks and shares and things like that. So you might pick up something from one that's not necessarily on the other. So
Do you plan to add it to your YouTube channel later? I did see the one from last year.
I will go ahead and record one of the 2 next week and put it on the YouTube channel. Yep.
Okay.
Be happy to do that. So next Tuesday, we're having it from noon to 1. And then we're having it from 4 to 5 p.m. on Tuesday as well. So if you can make one of those, great. If not, I will be loading one of those sessions onto the YouTube channel. Yep.
Thank you. It's on the calendar.
Awesome. Y'all, I'm really sorry for the hairy ride this morning. Good golly Moses, that was nuts. But
sometimes you just have to giggle at yourself, you know?
What?
Sometimes you just have to giggle at yourself. You got to have that laugh, man.
I was not giggling or laughing. I was sweating over here trying to.
You were giggling and laughing. We did it for
glad
you.
It's called glistening. Glistening. Glistening.
Some sparkles.
All right, we're going to have a new agent training in just a couple of minutes, and we're going to be going over. Oh, I got to find it. I think I sent out the y'all. Just apparently, I can't do 4 Zooms in a week. Apparently, that's when my brain melts down. So hopefully, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. We've got a new agenda we'll be going over, and I will see a couple of y'all in a little while. Thanks, y'all. Bye.